Ladies and gentlemen, hey, it's the 29th of September. This year has gotten out of here with the quickness. 2014. But guess what? I never run out of topics. Today's topic, man, is going to be crazy. But before I get to the topics, you know I got to get to community empowerment. You know what's really crazy? We keep evolving on the So What Morning Show. Before the show even starts, we got a new web series that we're producing for the So What Morning Show, just based on finance. So I'm bringing in financial experts that are just dropping jewels about how to save money, how to get rid of debt, just to add on to the community empowerment, and it'll be its own standalone episode. Real short, but yo, we got to do it. So speaking, just let it, Oh, you're playing games. Yeah, you know I like it. Okay. So speaking of community empowerment, you know what I like to do? Let me do this really quickly, and then I'm gonna get to my phone guest now. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, because it's crazy. So many people have been calling. We got to extend it. Veronica Conway is on the line right now. Let's talk about Wantrepreneur to Entrepreneur, the actual phone conference that we do weekly. People are just going bananas over it, and we're going to do another one tomorrow, right? Talk to me, Veronica.
Yeah, they are. I think people understand that it's time to be owners and not be owned anymore. We're the original owners, and so people are chiming in and getting live coaching about their business. But I wanted to talk a little bit about who it's for, and then I'll give the information. If you're a business owner and you want to take some really profitable action in the next 90 days before the end of the year, or if you're stuck around launching your business and you know it's your inner conversation, then this is the most optimum place on earth to come and get your stuff broke down.
So what's the number?
Here's who it's not for. Because if you don't have any idea what you want to do in business, or what your gift is, or how you can how you're going to use your gift and talent to create a business, it's probably not for you. And if you never intend to take any action, if you'd rather dream than do, then this conversation is probably not for you.
Wow. And let me just chime in really quickly. She's opening herself up to fielding questions from anybody with a small business. So if they got concerns about their business plan, if they have concerns about banking, if they have concerns about their business model, I mean, she's really laser focused in on people who just need help. And this is a great opportunity. What's the number for them to call, and when will the next call happen?
So the next call will be tomorrow, Tuesday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. And the number to call is 425-440-5100. And the access code is 636167#.
Wow. Appreciate you, Veronica. We got to run, but once again, we got this call coming. Everybody get involved. Listen to the books. Very important. I got to get you guys to get this book for today's show. It's called New Black Man by Mark Anthony Neal. I just need you to read it. You might not agree with it, but I need you to read it. New Black Man by Mark Anthony Neal. Speaking of Marks, we've got Dr. Mark Goulston in the building, author of Just Listen. You got to get this book, as well as Get Out of Your Own Way. Principles, practical lessons for conquering procrastination, fear, envy, obsession, anger, self-pity, compulsion, neediness, guilt, rebellion, inaction. These two books are heavy works. Please support Dr. Mark Goulston ASAP right now. Also, my uncle, Bobby Glanton-Smith, Real Men Don't Play. You can order your copy at realmendon'tplay.com. Please support Bobby's movement. Great book, great work. Speaking of Manhood Manual, don't play yourself. Great work. Also, 20 copies left. That's it. 20 copies left. 20 copies. Go to IamZoeWilliams.com right now if you want a copy of this book signed and delivered. I'll sign it, autograph it, the whole 9 yards. Also, My new book is coming. It's going to be incredible. I've been reading it. Oh, man, it's nuts. It is bananas. I'm trying to get this book done with. IamZoeWilliams.com. Only 20 copies left. You should move right now. I'm going to the post office tomorrow to send out packages. Next step. Hole in the head. Right? You got to support this brother. He was in the studio last week. Wilbur Smith, PhD, wrote this book about this brother who was experimented on from the age of 5. And he lived for 71 years wearing a wig and a cap covering an actual hole in his head. He was experimented on, and this is about overcoming. This man owned 28 properties. He did all of these amazing things, even though he was experimented on, even though he was used and abused. Go to holeinthehead.com and purchase your copy of this book right now. Again, community empowerment, that's what it's about. We juice. We do a lot of juicing. Brother comes here every week. Support his movement as well. Entrepreneurialism is the way of the future. It's the way to freedom. Any kind of personal freedom, any kind of wealth freedom, financial freedom. This is the guy you need to talk to. WeJuice.com, support that. Also, BlackMastery.com. Go buy the BlackMastery.com NLP program right now at BlackMastery.com. Support NoClogPlumbing.com, right? No Clog Plumbing. Support Pharaonic Designs. I'm wearing one of their jackets right now. Pharaonic Designs. Support that brother. Also, support Ramomart, right? Support the Ramomart movement. Support Hip Loose. Oh, here's Ramomart right here. His stuff is incredible, man. He's only building. He's just getting started. You guys have no idea what his high-end line looks like. Support Hip Loose. I'll be wearing a new suit from Hip Loose next week. I got a new one coming that's going to be icy. So we're just trying to support. You know, they're actually building my own brand. So in a minute, you'll be able to purchase the Zowat's line of suits. You know, it's called the Line of Succession. It's incredible. So every suit you see me wearing, it's a part of my collection, the Line of Succession, and Hip Loose are the tailors behind it. It's going to be incredible. So support them. Easy Boy Web. Gotta support Easy Boy Web. I mean, if you're building a website, if you need social media representation, if you need logo production, these guys do it all. In-house, based out of Atlanta, Easy Boy Web. I'm sure we've got more. Arise Hospitality. This is all black-owned businesses. This is the Staples, the Black Staples Center, or the Black Office Max. Anything they got, you can get, right? Furniture, everything. They got it all. So I'm asking you guys to support all of these businesses. It's very important that you do it. I do this every week. And don't forget, the Rebirth of Seeds is down to the final 20 copies. As Elijah Muhammad once said, after this, there will be no more. There will be no more. It's over after this. Get to IamZoeWilliams.com and support that work. The second book, The Relationship Reboot. Right? How to reboot your relationship. The relationship dismount. How to break up effectively. How to stick the landing when you're trying to get away. Oh God, this book is so crazy right now. I can't tell you how ridiculous it is. A full-on relationship book from Zoe Williams. It's bananas. It's crazy. Support all of these works. They're coming. Please support all of the businesses that I put before you, and we'll be back in 2. Oh, Dr. G, sitting right here. He has a webinar. G, tell them where the webinar is and how to get to it.
Yeah, this Thursday, go to Citrix, C-I-T-R-I-X, and Goulston, G-O-U-L-S-T-O-N. Search for that. It's going to be this Thursday from 10 to 11 Pacific time, 1 to 2. And we want to break my previous record. I held the record for the biggest webinar. I had
8,000?
Yeah, it's up to 7,000 for this one, so we got 4 days. But if you go there, it's about tough talks made easy. I used to train hostage negotiators. So if you have any difficult conversations coming up, you want to learn how to handle them better, tune in, and thanks for everyone's support. I don't think I would have gotten to that number without people who are fans of the show and thankfully fans of me. And by the way, Zoe's great new book, I am writing the foreword, and I'm looking forward to that.
You think it deals me? It's going to be crazy. Please, tell them one more time how to get to your webinar.
Yeah, look up Citrix and then my last name, Goulston, Goulston, and you'll see links to a webinar this Thursday, October 2nd, 10 to 11 and 1 to 2. We'll probably show that at the end of the show. We'll get a link to it. Thanks.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back with topics and guests. It's about to get crazy. So what mornings? Oh!
And one of the greatest tragedies in life is getting to the end of your life and looking back and realizing it was mediocre, and it didn't have to be that way. The number one reason is people are unwilling to listen and care about what's important to the other person. But what if you could be someone who dared to care about everybody in your life? When you're in love, smoke gets in your eyes. But when you're anxious, you talk more than you listen. I asked my wife a month ago, I said, I don't know whether to have an affair or buy a motorcycle. And she said, if you have an affair, I'll kill you. If you get the motorcycle, you'll kill yourself. Go with the bike.
So today we're going to be talking about fear, and I want to make a distinction between fear and dread. Because fear is worried about what the world is going to do to you, and if you internalize that and you hold on to it, you're going to start dreading what you're going to do into the world, and you've got to separate those things. Fear alerts you, but if you can face your fears, you can become stronger. But if you don't face your fears, you're going to end up dreading things. I heard a sermon the other day and they talked about a woman named Anna Runs America. This woman ran from Venice Beach to New York, for some causes. And someone was asking her, so how do you deal with the fear you won't be able to make it? And I thought she was brilliant. What she said is fear causes you to constrict, and what you really want to do is to start noticing things that you never noticed. And imagine you're seeing it for the first time. So you notice a blade of grass, you notice a tree, you notice a sign, you notice whatever. And the more that you can notice stuff outside yourself, the more the fear just goes away, because fear makes you constricted and you start talking to yourself and you're saying negative things. But I thought that was utterly brilliant. So the more you can look out and notice things as if you're seeing them for the first time, fear will go away.
Wow. And with that, we're going to have to apply that to masculinity. Today's topic, dick management. I know it's a little harsh. Dick management. Is masculinity out of control? We're going to talk about a manual for manhood. Does it need to be rewritten? We're looking at all of the things that are happening in the world. Jeff being late, part of masculinity. I get there when I get ready to.
Damn right.
I don't have to follow no rules.
Yeah, rules are for followers.
Right? We're looking at the NFL. We're looking at all of the things that are happening, these top stories. And I deliberately waited until the firestorm of all of that, that was going on in the media. I deliberately waited till it died down a little so we could tackle the topic of manhood, because now men are public enemy number one so far, what's been going on in the media. So what I want to do is pose some questions here. Dick management, is masculinity out of control? So let's get these questions going. True or false? The majority of the world's problems are caused by uncontrolled male energy. Women can always make the argument like, we wouldn't be warring, or would they? Right? We don't have a blueprint to see if you would be warring or not. But they always say, right? We wouldn't do it the way men do it, right? Are all of the world's problems caused by uncontrolled masculine energy, male ego, run amok? Somebody call us at 855-878-4652. Is being unemotional, hyper-competitive, tough, and hardcore an antiquated way of thinking as it relates to manhood? Can somebody speak to that? 855-878-4652. Moving forward into the 21st century, How should we raise modern-day boys into modern-day men? Some men are claiming rampant effeminization of men. Rampant. Men walking on, the models walking on the runway with a suit and tie on and a skirt underneath. And that's fashion. Both Kanye and Kim Kardashian, Fashion Week in France showing cleavage. What? Man cleavage? Middies. I'm just saying, what is going on in the world?
Middies?
Middies, man titties. I'm just saying, what's happening to manhood? We have to discuss this now. Are women, we have an author that's on right now. He's going to Skype with us in a second. Author of How to Manage Your Dick. Incredible book. I swear to God. Go to Amazon.com right now and get this book by Sean O'Reilly, How to Manage Your Dick. Are women better managers of our dicks than we are? Something to think about, huh? Are women better managers? Are men just reckless, right, with our dicks? It's very tough questions. I see you over here writing notes, Jeff Brown. Are women and children hardwired by God to respect male provision? And if so, if a man struggles to provide, he is unworthy of respect and thus worthy of disrespect? Some stereotypes going on that we got to deal with too, right? Oh, it's going to be crazy. With that said, let me introduce our august panel. We've got old school knowledge, wisdom wrapped in a spiny, spiky, ornery wrapping. But yet, we need his guidance.
The Black Sam Elliott.
We need his guidance. My Uncle Bobby, author of
Real Men Don't Play.
Man, welcome to the show, Bobby. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here to weigh in on this. Also sitting directly to your right? Hey, I'm left-handed. It gets crazy. Attorney and advocate for men's and fathers' rights. Author of A Man's Guide to Domestic Violence. Attorney David, how do you pronounce your last name?
Pisarra.
Pisarra is in the building with us right now. He's going to weigh in on some of those questions I have just laid before you. And of course, Dr. G. Mark Goulston, author of Just Listen and Get Out of Your Own Way, which is exceedingly difficult for most of us. And then, of course, Lord Lateness, the intellectual irritant, the comedian extraordinaire.
Bow before me, I am Lord Lateness.
Lord Balthasar. Lord Jeff Brown.
I will behead you tomorrow at noon or so.
Jeff Brown in the building. Let's talk about it right now. Is masculinity under attack? Why is there a media blackout for female domestic violence offenders like Hope Solo? We ain't heard too much about Hope, but we done heard a lot about Ray Rice and everybody else, right? Why is there a media blackout? Is there a double standard? What should masculinity do in order to redeem itself? Are we under attack? Can we speak to that right now? Let's go.
Let's just cut to the chase. There is a double standard. There's really no question about is there one. The real question is, what are we going to do about it, and how are we going to open up the conversation to make some changes in the society that need to happen? That's what I'm thinking.
For example?
Well, one of the things I think we need to start recognizing is that women do commit domestic violence on a very regular basis. You know, studies are showing between 40 and 50% of all domestic violence is perpetrated by women against men.
How about it?
And particularly these days when the definition has become so broad that it's everywhere from, and I'm not making this up, withholding sex through to what Ray Rice did and maybe even murder. Those are all the range of domestic violence these days.
Does that also include verbal abuse?
Absolutely.
How about it?
That's going to be smack in the middle. So, you know, if you're in a relationship and somebody is deliberately berating you on a regular basis, that and calling you maybe a deadbeat or a loser or a worthless guy who's not really worth anything and his kids shouldn't respect him, that's emotional abuse. But men don't see that, so they don't feel empowered to do anything, to step out of the relationship, to go get some help. So what ends up happening is, At that moment in time, you've got abuser, female, and victim, male, and then all of a sudden he does something stupid, throws a coffee cup against a wall. Now he's the abuser,
right,
and she's the victim. Roles have switched because domestic violence is a dance, and it's perpetrated by two people. You go from one, you lead and then you follow, you lead and then you follow. So we have to start recognizing that women can lead in domestic violence on a very regular basis. And men have to know
blasphemy. That's sacrilege, David. Do not come in here and lay low our fair maidens.
I got to say something about the NFL. I've been dying for a few weeks to do this. Here's one of the problems is that on any given Sunday, NFL players who are just filled with pain and bruises are coached and trained to kill the opposition. And what happens is they're not treated respectfully by their coaches. They're trained to be aggressive. And then what happens is, there used to be a saying called, people come home and they kick the dog. The problem is people love their dogs more than they love their mates now, so they don't kick the dog. Wow. But when they come home and they're hit by disrespect after they've been trained to kill out there, it's tough to switch that. And something that, a lot of us psychologists talk about, which sounds like an airy-fairy, is this idea that you need to contain your emotions as opposed to act on them. And containing means, and the stronger you are emotionally, the more you can feel amazingly awful stuff and not do something destructive with it. And we're not, and it seems masculine to contain it. No, containing causes you to be focused and centered, and it gives you conviction. Conviction makes you strong, anger makes you wild.
And I'm going to add on something to that before we go to break. I always say, you said containing emotion. I always say, whenever you have to contain your emotion, you're now in tolerance mode. And tolerance always implies a silent timeline. Because you can only tolerate something for so long. There's a difference between tolerance and acceptance. And when you're tolerating something, you're like this. You're like, okay, one more can.
No, containing.
One more. I'm talking about for a man, tolerance is like bottling it up.
No, containing emotion. If you've ever driven a stick shift car, when you downshift, you get more traction. Think of containing, downshifting, getting more centered, as opposed to stepping on the accelerator and going off the road. So
that's beautiful. I'm talking about for the average person. Containing is holding back.
I think it's
tolerance is holding back what I really want to say. I'm just letting you know. Well, listen, you hear that music, Jeff. You can't hear it because you don't have on your cans. No, I don't. You're very disrespectful today. He's all man right now. He's just wilding. It's all good. We'll be back at 2.2. The So What Morning Show, Dick Management. We'll be back.
Man, if you wear your watch on the inside of your wrist and you check the time like this, oh my God.
Direct violation of the
man code.
When driving your car, riding with a friend, you are not allowed to sing the words to Carrie Hilson, Pretty Girl Rock. Some of our viewers at home find this to be in disbelief, and this can be detrimental. What you're witnessing is a dramatization. So they go crazy with this. Come on, right here. Hit me with that. Yeah. And looking at it.
My name is Carrie. I'm so very fly. Oh my, it's a little bit scary. Boys wanna marry, looking at my dairy. And you can stare, but if you touch it, I'm a berry. Pretty as a picture, sweeter.
What you just saw was a dramatization, which we hope never happens.
Man code.
Salads and quiche really are food. And a real man can eat any damn food he wants.
So the rule, real men don't eat quiche, doesn't apply.
Nonsense, because as I was saying, guys make up man rules out of fear.
Interesting. Guys make up man rules out of fear. So explain that.
Oh, sure. Guys make up rules about manly behavior so that they can reinforce the belief that among each other that they're men.
And guess what? I'm aggressive. I ain't never been sexually abused, but I'm what you call a man. So if my brother is sexually abused or my daughter is sexually abused, I'm just as angry, if not more angry, than I would have been if it happened to me. And there's nothing wrong with black male aggression. That's how we gonna put a foot in this cracker's ass and bring an end to him on planet Earth with black male aggression. If you want to be weak, take your punk ass and get your ass to another planet and let the men and women come together and stand for a future for African people.
God damn it!
I'm whooping somebody white ass.
I'm mad now. Shit.
Who you want? I like Baby Teen Wolf. No, not him. You're not really white. You got some other shit working. Some Croatian makes something. I'm not quite sure about.
Just because you light skinned. Everybody black think that just because you light skinned, you ain't real black.
Hope Flood. Here we go.
We are really black.
Waldo.
Okay, Jeff. Everybody
Hope
likes
Flood and Corey Holcomb have joined the conversation.
Oh, you don't even want
We're talking about dick management. Is masculinity out of control? Do we need to rewrite manhood, man codes, right?
Yeah.
You're the only female in the room right now, Hope.
Yeah.
But she can hold her own.
She can. Oh, we are. In fact, foxhole days. We already know.
No, we know.
Right? So my question is, what is an egregious man code violation to you?
First of all, I don't know what egregious means, and I'm just putting that out there right now.
Unbelievable.
Okay, just be real. I'm from South Central LA by way of Inglewood. You got to break all
open.
that.
Oh hell no, nigga, you didn't.
Oh, okay. So what is the question again? With the right word, please. I ain't got time.
That was the right word.
It was not. I don't know that fuck what you talking about. Can you cuss on the show?
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
What
What's
is some
a man?
supremely bitch shit?
Yeah.
From a dude. Some supremely bitch shit from a dude.
I'm embarrassed already. Go ahead.
Oh, if you don't allow us to put our finger in your booty, stuff like that, you know.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I need you to repeat that.
If you don't allow us to put our finger in your booty, is that the topic?
And there we go.
No.
Is that that's not what y'all even talking about.
No, that's like 100.
Okay, my bad.
We're somewhere else. Thank you. It works better than the Star Trek teleporter.
Yeah.
We're somewhere
Let me
else.
ask you, when you put your finger in his booty, do you say cough?
No, I'm not a proctologist.
I'm a doctor,
at all. I'm not.
No, but I'm just saying, what do you, because we're talking about the potential of feminization.
I don't like whiny men. I don't like men that whine all the time. Where you at? What you doing? When you coming home? Why you all that whining and stuff? Find your ass something to do and leave me alone until I get there. You know, all that whining and and all, I don't want to hear none of that shit.
This man out here who never whine till they get with a certain woman, though. That's what somebody needs to say.
What do you mean a certain woman?
They ain't never had problems before, but then when they get with that one girl, and they normally have the same background, everybody.
Well, that's your fault that y'all keep picking the same bitch, okay?
Yeah, if he had to turn a man who normally is a stand-up guy into a whiner because he can't beat up.
Wow. Now we're getting so
you can't beat us up, but it doesn't mean that we can't fight back. Now, I have whooped a few niggas in my lifetime.
David?
Okay, I have whooped a few niggas in my lifetime.
Yeah,
I fight niggas. I got the scars to prove. I fight niggas.
Jerome Bettis build.
I will fight men, okay?
I see it. Go ahead, Dr. David.
Okay, so let me get this straight. You have beat up men.
I heard that, and I will respond shortly.
It's all good, sweetie.
Okay. So you beat up men. Now, how are you going to feel when a man hits on you?
I might like it. See, I'm one of the people, I like pain and pleasure and stuff like that. Some women like that. Let me tell you something.
You're into the sex part, it's not the violence part.
No, some women... That's all they've ever been seen. That's all they've been raised. They've seen their mother get hit, their grandmother get hit, and
so they think it's a part of love.
If they think it's a part of love, if you're not hitting on her or saying crazy stuff, then do you love me? We just want some type of reaction from you. If we got to the part where we're fighting, that means I'm looking for some type of reaction from you.
Now I've been in that very relationship, and what a man needs to look for is someone else to be in relationship with. Should he come across that? Because I actually, my ex-wife family, members of her family who shall remain nameless, so, you know what?
Pookie,
I think you ought to slap the hell out of her. I say you think that now until she lose balance and she hit her temple on the coffee table, and I'm doing 25
we're not even thinking that far.
No, you're not. No, you're not. So
nobody thinking that far ahead.
Somebody just wants to see.
Women that allow you to hit them are very addictive to be around, but because of the backlash in society, it's better to get away from her. But back in the 60s, boy, that was your boo.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Real talk, and I got to tell you, these days, those women are the strippers and the dancers. And
wow, put it out there.
Not true. Not true.
Not true.
Not true.
Some of them
you
are
go to Magic City in Atlanta, those girls are doctors and lawyers.
I'm not saying all of them.
They're driving nice cars.
Whoa.
That's not true.
I have been to court plenty of times. I have never heard counsel for the plaintiff, Your Honor. You can call me Miss Jackson or Chandelier or Precious.
No.
All these women who are shaking their titties through medical school, how come you never see them when you go get a checkup? How come I've never seen, I always hear about, oh, I'm doing these wonderful things.
Because they realize they make more money as a stripper than a doctor.
Then don't bring it up.
You know what's interesting? And then I'm going to throw it to Dr. G and Bobby.
Okay.
Being a father to 3 children, I have found that they don't really listen to what you say. They model what you do, right? And it took my oldest is going on 18. I started to see what I do in him, and it's in conflict to what I say, right?
Well, then you're a hypocrite, basically.
We all are. Now, that's the point I'm trying to make.
I live the life. The life that I am, the person I am, I'm like that with my son all the time.
Really? Well, that's good. Congratulations. Absolutely. But the point that I'm trying to make...
That's amazing.
No, the point that I'm trying to make here is real clear. No, it's really clear. The point I'm trying to make is a lot of times these kids will show you the flaws in your thought process because they've modeled who you are as opposed to what you've said. Now, Doc speaks to something that I think we should cover as well, and that is masculinity and fear. That guy on our clip said something about the man code is birthed out of men's fear. What do you think about that, Doc? Because you've said something about that before.
You know, one of the differences between men and women is that women are more verbal, so they can get a lot of stuff out without going to violence. Now, some of them do. Whereas men, what happens? Men are afraid to say what they're thinking without thinking, because they're afraid that if they just blurt something out to another man, he's going to pull a gun out and shoot them. So what happens is men don't have the language to be able to get stuff off their chest. Women get stuff off their chest. So what's really good is the way you're venting, you can just feel you're helping this whole table get stuff off our chest. But a lot of men don't have words. And it bubbles up and it bubbles up, and they're about to explode. And when they're not as verbal as most of the people on this show, it comes out as violence.
Well, I disagree with that. The reason men are cautious around other men because disrespect leads to death. Men kill each other.
He did say that.
Men kill each other, but when it's disrespect or misunderstanding.
Yeah.
That's why when we talk to each other, we talk to each other in
very
a way
carefully.
We're trying to make sure you see where I'm coming from.
Right.
But women, especially in America, they have no regard for respect because they have been taught that no matter what, they're right.
Ooh, Bobby?
Well, so far, the topic is supposed to be dick management, and I think we have to juxtapose that against legacy. What is your legacy and what's your passion? As a man, if you still are, if there's some left, there's a few of them, we like women, and we like the feeling that our dick provides us when in the company of women, in that social sense. But in terms of our legacy, there's a conflict, because as soon as Sister sit in, she took the microphone, and she went right in. She didn't take a minute to see who else was in the room, what had been said.
That's because she's a G.
And, well, a G...
Look at her.
No, a G is
I
fine.
was late.
That ain't the point. The point is you jump right in with your opinion and your whole thing, and that's why we're having this conversation that it relates to dick management, because we'll defer sometimes just to see what the consequences will be, because some of the things that you said are in direct contradiction with how we end up going to jail. Because you come in and just say what you want to do, I whoop a nigga ass, et cetera, and everybody sitting in this room that's got any manly tendencies, we can't go out like that.
Well, the thing is, when I say that, what I'm saying that, I'm not saying that I'm just walking up and beating up on men.
Right.
What I'm saying when I say that is that I'm not going to allow a man to beat on me. I don't understand domestic violence. I don't condone domestic violence. I don't understand it, because I feel like a man do have to go to sleep at some time. You understand what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying?
And I hear that part, but when you walked in here, you were getting ready to knock everybody out.
Hey, listen, disagree with y'all hear the music? Y'all hear the music? That means we're taking a quick break. We'll be back at 2.2. We're going to cover the rest of it.
Women who are abusers, do they kind of rely on that as their defense, that they won't be smacked back or they won't have the cops called on them because no matter what, they're going to look like the victim?
Yes, that's certainly a tactic among some, not all. We have to remember in all of this that one size does not fit all. There's the intimate partner terrorist, that the only intervention that really works for them is jail, period. But then there's the one-time family dispute. And certainly there are many cases in which, in fact, the research shows it, that women throw things twice as often and use weapons twice as often to make up for that size and weight differential. And certainly in the hundreds of abused men that I've interviewed, they often talk how that the police, in effect, will be used or threatened to be used as a weapon against them because, she will say, I'm going to claim that, you were the abuser and no one's going to believe you, and men will believe that. The real difference I find between male and female victims is only that men do not have as many resources or places to go to.
Confront police and prosecutors for their actions. Men who call police for help when attacked by their partners are more likely than not to be the one arrested, regardless of the circumstances. Victims should be helped, not arrested, incarcerated, and stigmatized. Be sure to express your objections to and boycott media outlets and corporations like Pepsi and FedEx that use men getting abused as a sight gag in their advertising. When you see or hear a public service announcement that says something like a woman is abused in her home every 15 seconds, realize that it is actually a public deception, a convoluted half-truth based in blind bigotry and callous indifference to the victimization of men. Those are a few good beginnings, but you can best start by simply and publicly acknowledging what so few seem to know. Domestic violence has nothing to do with what sex you are. It never has. Disinformation is a poor way to address social ills. In fact, it just breeds more of them.
Do you ever listen to me?
Stop. You're crazy,
fucking
man.
manic. I've been talking at you for the last 10 minutes and you haven't listened. You haven't gotten into fucking what I've been saying to you. But you're fucking not even listening to me, that's what. Why do I push you like that? Because you won't fucking respond to me and you won't listen to me. You think you're fucking old manly.
I wasn't.
No, you can't be. No, you can't be. Don't try and fucking walk away. Stop. Listen to me when I'm talking. Don't try and fucking walk away from me. Stop it. What the fucking bullshit? What the fucking bullshit?
What the fuck is wrong with you?
What the fuck is wrong with me? There's nothing. Don't give me that shit, okay? Pathetic. You're so fucking pathetic.
I wouldn't do that. They know who to do that to. So I wouldn't do that to no real man. You know who to punk and who not to.
So my point.
Women are smarter than what y'all think.
Right. That's bullying.
But that guy right there, he's the one that kills like 10 people than himself.
Okay.
Right. Because of the point we made earlier about tolerating something.
Yeah. Till that end
tolerance is the silent. It's like a volcano effect. Mm-hmm. I'm just building up steam and pressure. You keep doing this. I've taken it. Pop.
Yeah.
So let me just say this really quickly to set up the conversation, because we do have a phone guest on real quick. I want you guys to introduce yourself to an author by the name. He wrote a book that I think is incredible. I let my he was 15 when I let him check it out. It's called How to Manage Your Dick, right? And it's a book. It's a philosophical book. It is a heavy book. No, not at all. It's a very deep book. How to Manage Your Dick. Basically talking about masculine energy. Has it run amok? And he used a lot of meaningful metaphors and culture. The way he painted the picture was incredible. His name is Sean Joseph O'Reilly. We want to welcome you to the So What Morning Show, Sean. I know you've been listening. My question to you today, masculinity, has it run amok? Does every member in the NFL need a copy of your book, How to Manage Your Dick? Let's talk about it.
Oh, absolutely they need a copy.
But why?
But whether or not they will read it is something else.
Mm-hmm.
But I think one of the biggest issues that men face today is emotions that have run wild. And part of the problem with emotions running wild is that... Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Sean.
Yeah, okay, good. Part of the problem with emotions running wild is the first thing you got to get a handle on is that handle between your legs. because it's basically an energy drain. I'll give you a very interesting example. This is from my own life, and it may resonate or it may not. But I have found that some of the worst arguments I've ever had with people, with my wife or with friends or whatnot, is when I may have had too much sex.
What?
Yeah, and the reason is because what I've found is that it drains you of energy. Boxers will tell you when they get ready to fight, and they'll say, "Don't have sex the night before you fight.
No
Save your
sex
energy.
zone.
Save your energy."
Right. No, I understand what he's saying. Coaches tell that to basketball players the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, you can tell somebody that. They don't make it factual.
Well, you don't believe it, Bobby?
No, hell no.
Doesn't have energy.
No, he's saying sex. Over sexualization could drain you of your energy. That's what he's saying.
You arguing for if you ain't got no energy?
And what about?
That's when you sleep.
Well, let me just explain this just a little bit.
Please, Sean,
here.
go deeper.
I think everybody has a different level of energy here that they use in sex, and I think if you think about it carefully, you'll see that a lot of people feel they get a better day going for themselves. They have more energy if they have maybe sex the night before as opposed to in the morning.
Shit.
Okay, yeah.
You heard Lou Rawls.
Yeah, Doc. You
Just finish your statement, Sean.
Sorry, I got to get rid of this thing.
gotta get the phone.
He said, God is perfect.
I can't shut my phone up.
We're trying to give you the space to make it make sense.
Let me put it this way, if I can try to make it as clear as I can. Everything takes energy. You put gasoline in your car, and sooner or later, if you don't put any more gas in it, it runs out. Everybody is going to have a different level of sexual energy, and everybody is going to have to learn when they're starting to run a little bit low, when they're abusing it. So you get a lot of people who are, compulsive meat beaters, for instance, constantly doing it. Either that or they're constantly humping, and they don't have enough energy to be creative. They don't have enough energy to be thoughtful. They don't have enough energy to be recollective.
I guess I'm wired.
Okay, so everybody, everybody
you're
in
talking
here.
about the fringe, Doc. I mean, I'm gonna have to go on and be honest, and I'm gonna say what all the brothers is thinking in here. There is a racial component to sexual energy.
Is it?
Yeah.
Say more.
From what I've gathered from the various white women I've slept with, is that there is a different black sexual work ethic. The black male wants to win. The woman has to tap out. We need to be able to borrow money when we're finished. So this energy that you're coming from, I don't understand. I have never heard that before.
When I don't have sex, that's when I'm ready to argue and fight with everybody.
That's why the prison is so violent. Dudes ain't getting none.
That's not why they're violent, and they are getting
most
some.
of y'all are too young to remember Lou Rawls. He did a song called Early Morning Love, the kind you just can't get enough of. And I started a great day with great sex, man.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask the entire panel this. Sean, you too. Are you telling me, Bobby, that a woman who offers up the yoni in the morning,
oh my Lord,
right?
Offers it? No, she got tapped on the show. Hey, one more for the road.
I'm just saying, does she change? Can she change your mood just by being submissive to your sex?
What if we just give you head and send you on your way?
A woman can get her bills paid willingly by a man if he doesn't initiate the sex. If she just wake up in the morning giving out throat gifts. Throat gifts. That's what I call them. You'll
live a credit card.
It's just like when you feed the dog.
It'll come
back. That ain't your dog.
Right.
If that dog,
it comes
you
back.
feed him, he'll not go bark at you no more.
Right. I agree.
So with that said, do you think women have become a little harsher, a little meaner, and that's what creates this kind of rift?
Meaner towards what? Meaner towards you guys pertaining to sex? Because women want to have sex. Y'all ain't having all this sex if we ain't giving it to you. It's rape and everything. Women want to have sex. I don't use sex as a weapon.
So I have a question for the entire panel. Can a strong man be in constant contact with his feminine side and still be considered strong?
What is your feminine side considered?
That's what I want to know.
What is your feminine side?
Sean
Because
O'Reilly's...
you cry? Because you might cry, or you cry at a funeral, you cry at a... What do you consider your feminine side?
Well, that's
I just want to ask the men.
Yeah.
What do you consider your feminine side?
That's the question I'm asking.
I know. What do you consider your feminine side, Corey?
My feminine side is when a woman I'm just not attracted to just keep talking to me. Then I'll be like, leave me alone.
Okay, that's his feminine side. Okay. Jeff, what's your feminine side?
When I approach something emotionally first.
Okay.
Generally, I'm a creature of logic. But if I'm looking at something to do with my daughter or my son, and I decide, you know what, I'm going to go with emotions first on this thing.
Dr. G, what's your feminine side?
I think for a lot of men, when you're not dominating and you're not having to be right, that's your feminine side. What's happening is you're not having to be right. Means is you're then receiving from the world, which is kind of what women are about. And a lot of men, too often, men think if they're not dominant and they're not in control, they're being wusses.
Bobby G, what's your feminine side?
I ain't figured it out yet.
David, your feminine side.
It's when I create an open space for someone to tell me their secrets. That's what it really, when I create an environment that allows people to get honest.
Wow. I think my feminine side, and then I'm going to go to Grimes, my feminine side is having a feeling of having to explain myself. I don't want to have to do that.
Right, but that's like
just know who I know.
What if I don't understand? Whatever you're doing or whatever.
Sean O'Reilly.
Closely related to listening. When you're willing to listen.
Ah, that's your feminine side, right?
And shut your mouth, which is, like most guys are constantly ready to run their mouths about something one way or the other.
Grimes?
Instead of just listening and hearing and letting
it was
what's being
crime, but
said.
now I've accepted crime as an energizer and as a strength and being a fuller man. So I don't know about the feminine side.
Interesting. Listen, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get back into it. All right.
Has a rap career is beyond me. I don't get it. And he takes his shirt off. Oh my God, he looks like 50 pounds of chewed Tootsie Rolls with his... All right. Now, you are in white fashion. You know white boys always leave the house like they're going to help somebody move. Resist and defend the horrible house. There are some horrible people. And what you need to do is start policing your own. There was a time when I was 22 and I would do anything to get laid. Anything. I would drive from here to San Diego in the rain with no windshield on the possibility that I might. That was because my dick was the general manager of my team. When you get older and you have a few experiences, you wake up a few too many times wondering where your wallet is. You wake up a few too many times not wanting to hear where is this going. You get older. You get responsibilities. At some point, hopefully, you can take over as manager of the team. And that's when putting this thing in a warm, tight place is not as important as it used to be. It doesn't have to be as often. It doesn't have to be with as much. You get yourself in a place. What's wrong with you? You get yourself in a place where you don't need it. Now, something y'all didn't see. We were watching the violence video, and Hope's response to both situations is exactly where we are right now. She saw the dude and went, "He's crazy." When the woman started acting a fool, she said, "You know what? He must have done something." That is the circular thinking around domestic violence that has us right here. I am more than willing there was something I disagreed with about calling the police. Oh, it's a chance that you going to jail. I'm willing to take that chance because I've done it before. I've called the police on women who calm down before the police get there, and then they start crying. Fuck all of that. You wanted to fight. You going where bitches like to fight. You're going to have to fight to keep strange things out of strange cavities. And I think that is exactly what needs to happen. Take the chance, take the risk, or take your ass away from the woman that makes you the way that she make you.
That was Jeff Brown's intellectual rant. And it is on cue with our topic today. Now, before I get back to it, what I'd like to do is speak to our author, Sean O'Reilly, really quickly. Sean, we're about to wrap you really quick. How do people get your book? Do you have a website? How do they connect with you? How do they lock into what you're doing? And I'm telling you right now, I endorse this book. I read it. It's very powerful. I had my son read it. And I think women should read this book. Very powerful work. Sean, how do they get to you?
The book is available on Amazon. It's pretty much available anywhere. You can get it as an ebook, or you can get it as a hard copy book. I did want to say something as I was listening.
Please.
As I was engaging my feminine side and listening to all the rich jabber that was going on. Rich jabber.
I love
jabber.
it.
I hear some stuff that made me want to question an assumption that I hear. There are some differences between blacks and whites in regards to sex. Now, I've had sex with black women, and to me, all women are the same. They want to be pleased. They want to feel good. They want to feel like you like them, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the guys, this is basic biology. I don't think this is black and white. If you have a strong sex drive, whether you're black or white, you like that feeling of dominance. There's no two ways about it. That's a biological feeling. There's nothing more juicy than having something wriggling under your prong. It's just the way it is, and guys love that. They like to feel big and studly. And I don't think that's a question of race. Now, what I do think where the differences that occur with race is, I think black guys, a lot of black men may have a little bit higher testosterone levels than other races.
A little bit, yeah.
Why is that? I think so.
But go ahead.
The reason is if I'm speaking as a white man who's being honest. Okay, if you look at most black males and you compare them to the average white male, let's say you take an average, and I'm not talking about somebody who's from Ethiopia or one of these other countries, but if you take the average American black male and the average white male, the black males tend to have a little heavier musculature. And that's part of that. Part of that is due to testosterone. Because what happens if you're a bodybuilder and you take testosterone supplements? It makes your muscles bigger. So one of the problems I'm going to put to you guys in the black community is if you understand what the problem is, then you can deal with it. But black guys have a problem with too much testosterone. So they'll fly off the handle a little easier. They get angry a little easier. It's easier for them to engage in impulse.
Sean, you know what's happening, Sean. Sean, can I say something to you right now? It's happening. There's a lot of black men in this room that are revving up based off of what you're saying right now.
And one black woman.
Yeah, but again, Sean, before you blow us all up in here, because Bobby is at his neck right now. Everybody's at your neck right now. We're gonna have to wrap you.
True? I guess the question is it true or not?
Ask the Japanese. They will bring up Hisaki.
Excuse me. Has a problem with being honest about certain things, but the black community also does.
Let him off the hook.
No, let me talk about it.
We're gonna let him finish, and then Jeff and everybody else.
The excellence of the black athletes. Okay, there is no disputing that. And part of the reason is due to the better musculature, the greater abundance of testosterone, and it's just. And now that doesn't mean that it's going to be that every black person is going to be physically superior to white people.
Okay, so this is what we'll do, Sean.
But it is something important to think about.
Sean, I think that was very powerful what you just said. Now, yes, guys, I'm about to throw it back to Jeff because Jeff takes exception, and so does Bobby, and so does Corey. We want them to respond to what you had to say. Jeff?
Well, let's start with regard to if you look at testosterone as acting out, who has acted out in more violence in the world, in the history of mankind? How much testosterone does it take to march Indians across the plains with smallpox on their blankets? How about
or to kill 5 million buffaloes?
Or to kill 5 million buffaloes? Yes. Okay. The whole concept of brothers being bread bigger and bread strong, that's from slavery. See, if you over and over breed people to build this country, that's kind of where you get the bigger dudes. But the concept that we are more violent than you're going to have to get the fornication under consent of the king out of here with that bovine feces.
What I mean by that.
All right, wait, Sean. Hold on, Sean, hold on 1 second, because there are a couple of guys that want to address you really quickly. So hold on. Okay. Bobby wants to address you, and then Corey. Go ahead, Bobby.
Okay. I'm pretty sure you didn't mean to do it, but you insulted my intelligence and also the human facts. This physiology thing that you described is totally incorrect and inadequate, because you can't just look at somebody as a physical being. We are a human being, first and foremost. And we have some sensibilities that you left out of the equation altogether, because just as much as we are physical and we like to bang, there's some other things that go on in terms of the interaction that we have with women that has nothing to do with our physiology. It has to do with our humanity and our spirit and our groove that you just left out of the equation altogether.
Now, Corey wants to respond.
I'll address that. And this is the main thing you left out of the equation. How dare you critique a race of people who were kidnapped from their homeland by you. What are you talking about?
Not only that,
his insecurities are very obvious in his book and his conversation, and I had to sit through it. I'm just kidding.
And then lastly, if you look at Sean, you spoke. Sean, you spoke. We let you speak. We let you speak.
It's not your turn, Sean.
We let you speak. We let you pump your book and all that. Anyway, but what I want to say, if you look at even right now, all of the raping and the killing and all of the stuff that is being done, white men are doing that. You know, a brother just get a baby mama, she get pregnant, she ain't trying to kill her or whatever, throw on a boat or do any of that stuff or whatever. So if you look at serial killers and you look at all of that,
we all can't talk at the same time.
Well, he needs to shut the fuck up.
Okay, so
I don't disagree.
Yeah, he needs to hush. And his thing, he been with black women and all that stuff. That's irrelevant. All of that is totally irrelevant as to black and white and all of that other stuff. I'm scared to date white men because I know they'll fucking kill you in the end.
Oh, really?
Okay, all right. Well,
brothers ain't killing. We got that from y'all. Yeah, y'all fighting, then we fucking fight and fuck. That's what we do. But y'all go the extra mile because black men love their mama, and they look at most black men get a woman that's similar to their mom. To their mom.
Like mom.
You know, and when I say I talk a lot of shit, I have men who say they like that because it reminds them of their mama. And black men have love and respect for their mama and you know what I'm saying. So they're not gonna. We're not so quick to do that. I've just been talking shit all day. I truly believe that women need to sit down and stop. Exactly, and I feel like women do need to stop pushing buttons with men.
Say it again.
I have done that. I've dated guys that were so, I was like, what makes him tick? What makes him, he was so cool.
Say it again.
And I found that thing when he ran my head up against the window and I stopped fucking with him.
Because you wanted to know what made him break, not what made him tick.
Yeah, I wanted to know what made him break because I kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And we do that a lot. We understand y'all and we know y'all. I raised a son. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, so when we do that, I do believe women need to stop pushing those buttons because we know how to push those buttons, but we can't help it. Our mama did it, and our grandmama did it,
and hide under the code of the law.
True. You know.
So listen, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, more. Wow, I had to lay that out there. We got somebody on real quick. I got to get them on because they're pressed for time. They only got a few minutes. Dr. John Gray, men are from Mars, women are from Venus, has just joined us. We got to get you in on this topic, Dr. John. Welcome to the So What Show. It's been crazy, needless to say. We're talking about dick management. Is masculinity out of control? In the advent of the NFL and all of the domestic violence issues and everything that's been happening, we're just trying to find out, is society trying to rewrite the code of manhood? Can you speak to that?
Well, I think it's good to have a discussion, which is what this is all bringing out. These people are being tried by the media rather than being tried in the courts, and I personally don't like that aspect of it. And when the film came out, I noticed that nobody is talking about what you guys have been talking about. I heard briefly what you're talking about, and what I see as a counselor is that in every situation there's a back and forth. It's never, well, there always is some cases where there's a real victim here, but there's also so many times domestic violence happens, and it's two people involved in this process, and that's not always acknowledged. And when the video came out, I haven't heard anybody say this, and you can't say it because it's so politically incorrect, except on your show, as the guest before was talking about how much violence there is from women to men. But when you see the video, you hardly, he does hit her. He is a football player who's paid to be aggressive, and you don't attack, you don't put your hand in a dog when he's being aggressive. You don't put your hand in his mouth. And you can see in the video, the woman is going after his neck. She's going right at him before he slugs her. And this is not, no one can say that. And we have to look at both sides of this condition if we want to help the world be better and lessen domestic violence.
Wow.
Also, with football players, a major part that isn't in the discussion as well, though, is that concussions, which these guys are getting all the time, knocked around and so forth, causes mild traumatic brain injury, which leads to violence. And they need to be treated, not with medication for this, but there's natural solutions. That's my most recent book, Staying Focused in a Hyper World, Natural Solutions for ADHD, Memory, and Brain Performance. Well, these guys' brain performance is all being challenged, and now we're seeing it with the high amount of Parkinson's disease and Alzheimer's that these guys are getting later in life, but it affects them right after the game. So, they need to be treated with extra supplementation to prevent this kind of behavior, because it is mild traumatic brain injury. It's a real thing, and we have to look at it, which affects these guys. That's one. Two is both wives and husbands need skills in the avoidance of domestic violence, and I've specialized that over the years. I've gone into prisons. I've worked with prisoners. They just don't have the skills of averting the violence. You've got to be able to see it. It's like in sex. If you want to slow the whole thing down, you have to know when it's going to be over, and you have to slow down before that happens. You have to know how to slow down a conversation and take a time out. And so often, what couples don't know, I just want to give this one point, is a guy will start to pull away. He'll start to walk away. And then a woman, unknowingly, she doesn't realize that the things that plug men into being out of control. And she'll start to ask a lot of questions and bring him back into the conversation. And she does this innocently because she doesn't know that when a man starts to pull away, that means that he's starting to lose control, and he doesn't need to talk at that time. Whereas for women, if you get them to talk, they can settle down if they feel heard. Men at a certain point know they need to walk away, and women need to encourage that rather than go after them.
Wow. So let me do this really quickly. Let me do this real quick, Dr. John Gray. Listen. How do people get your book, the new book? How do they get your website? All of that right now. Call to action. Support John Gray. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Where do they get your book, sir?
Well, this book on ADHD and what concussions do to the brain and what sugar does to the brain is called Staying Focused in a Hyper World. It's at Amazon. It's only at Amazon, and the ebook's just $3. It's very inexpensive, or the paperback. But it's a primer for all these kids with ADHD. They can be violent as well. They can be distracted. They have poor learning abilities. And I quote one study after another showing the poorest performing students begin to make A's and B's and go to college with just a few extra supplements that their parents don't know about, because the brain is deficient of certain nutrients due to our kind of junk food, fast food diet.
Wow. Well, we appreciate you for calling in. We know you have a hectic schedule. Thank you so much. And of course, you know you're welcome to come back anytime. We want you to come back as soon as possible. Thanks again, Dr. John Gray.
Thank you, Zoe. Bye-bye.
All right, all right. Now, back to the panel. This has been a pretty crazy show. Sean O'Reilly said, this is the thing that bothers me, and we can all chime in with this. Sean O'Reilly said, black men, African-American men, have a higher testosterone level, right? First off, our women have a higher testosterone level than white men. People don't know that. Our women, black women, have a higher testosterone level than white men. A lot of people don't know that. But that doesn't, that's a fact. Okay. Now, but this is what people don't understand. This is what people don't understand. White people, and Dr. G has tried to, bring this concept to us. For some reason, because black men are angry, that we are somehow out of control, or, just because you lay dignity, right, or civility over violence doesn't make it better. Like, the Western thought is, I pillaged your village by way of the law.
And here's the Bible.
And you understand what I'm saying? But when you look at what they've done, they try to act civil in the destruction of their doing.
I shall meet you in the courtyard,
right,
and deal with pistols.
Right.
And
I will slap you.
Of the cross.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's this dignified violence that the Western world uses, and then they condemn the outrage of the people that they've been violent towards. Sure. And they try to say, your version of violence is an animalistic kind of violence.
You're a savage because you can't take my shit.
So am I racist? I am shocked when I see a Caucasian man who is morally grounded. Am I racist?
No, it's impossible to be black and racist.
No, but see, now we're getting somewhere in terms of manhood. Because if you look at the black man in America, technically, he can't be considered a man because he's oppressed. You just got to see it that way.
What about the element? What about the element of provoked and unprovoked?
Interesting. Say more.
And the fact that he can't provide for his family. A lot of times can't find jobs, incarcerated, getting that X on your back. There's a lot of things.
Yeah.
So me is that Grimes? Myth and this lie that this Dr. O'Reilly just perpetrated upon us justifies the shooting of a young black man who was getting his wallet last week. It justifies the killing of this young brother in New York. It justifies the killing and the maiming of our brothers throughout this nation, throughout history. And this is the lie that has to stop.
If I treat you like a savage, you'll act like a savage. So I'll have to treat you like a savage.
When we come back, we're coming back to Randy Flood and Corey Holcomb. We'll be back at 2.2. Crazy.
It's not abuse. And we have a comment coming in from Chris Bozeman who says, when I was in the Navy, one of my best friends was a small African-American man. He was 5'4", maybe 120 pounds soaking wet. His wife was 5'10" and 220 at least. She used to beat the ever-loving crap out of him. He would come to the sub with black eyes, bruised, ribbed, etc. Is it a common misconception that what happens when a female is the one dealing the blows, that it just isn't considered abuse, when clearly, in this case, there was bruised ribs and black eyes, and in Justin's case, she actually wielded a weapon. Why do we still think it's not abuse?
I actually have not had the experience among law enforcement that the folks in law enforcement wouldn't consider something like that abuse. The bigger issue is that men are a lot.
So again, we're talking about manhood. I think manhood, to be honest, is really under attack. We're under attack. There's a woman who wrote a book called Men on Strike. And she's basically outlining how marriage is a bad deal, how family is a bad deal. All of these societal infrastructures are a bad deal because of the male-female bias in the courtrooms. So she's saying, wait a minute, why would you get married if you break up, there's child support, there's spousal support, and then if you can't pay your child support and spousal support, there's potentially prison. You could lose your license. There's so many pitfalls and traps. Just because, I try to tell women this all the time. Just because you married don't mean you're in a successful relationship. Just because you made marriage the Super Bowl of relationships doesn't mean that's a good relationship. And part of the problem, we've got Randy Flood. I'm being told that Randy Flood is on the line. Randy, you've got about 5 minutes to talk to us about what the hell is wrong with masculinity in America.
Okay, we'll do. So you want me to talk now? You ready for me?
We're listening.
All right, good. As you know, I wrote the book, I co-authored Charles Henderson, Masculinity, Understanding and Dealing the Malaise of American Manhood. So we came up with a new term that we think is going to contribute to this conversation you're having, which is talking about the pathology of masculinity. We believe that society socializes young boys into a pathology where their masculine qualities that they're inborn with are exaggerated and reinforced, such as competition, dominance, power, control, aggression, while their more softer human qualities, which we typically attribute to women, which sensitivity, compassion, collaboration, yielding, we reduce that, and we don't socialize that in boys, so they end up only half of their humanity developed, and we want to call it masculopathy so we can have a more precise conversation about the malaise that we see American men struggling with in the 21st century.
All right, so my co-host here, Uncle Bobby Glanton-Smith, author of Real Men Don't Play, has a question for you. Go, Bobby.
I just want to understand, you're saying that society is now suppressing a part of our natural DNA, because as long as I've known, we were hunters and gatherers, and we evolved into these new beings, I guess. Are you saying that we reached a point now where we don't have the same instincts that we have at birth? Because I watched the animal kingdom, and they pretty much have survived by being what they always were.
No, I'm saying that we are born with those masculine qualities, and I'm not suggesting that we don't develop those or we negate those. I'm proposing that we cross-train boys and make them more fit for the 21st century, similar to how the automobile industry, when they were failing and they required, to be financed through the government, was because they were building big old gas-guzzling SUVs for the 20th century, and the consumer and the commuters were saying, we want big and fast cars, but you got to give us some gas mileage.
Okay,
so now we have crossover vehicles, we have flex fuel, and so I'm saying in the 21st century we got to develop boys to be fit and meet the demands of a service industry, an information industry, similar to how we cross-train girls.
So Randy, Dr. G has a question for you, as Dr. Mark Goulston, author of Just Listen, as well as comedian Corey Holcomb.
Yeah, I got a quick question, Randy. I got a quick question, and I got a question for everyone here, and I want you to just pause and be serious. Do you think there would be less war if women ran the world?
It's an interesting question.
I got an answer.
Well, we're waiting.
Go ahead.
Okay, I think there would be less war. I think we're seeing the influx of the, and again, there's this thing called the future is feminine. The future, in that collaborative divorce, for example, has taken over litigation and trying to say, when you got family conflict, let's look at ways to bring people in the room and talk about what's going on in the family in a collaborative way, rather than using litigation, which was a model to look at criminal behavior. So there's
Randy,
ways.
Dr. Goulston, so your answer is yes, because I want to hear from the panel here. Really, because,
okay.
Dr. Corey Holcomb.
So I just want to say, what you just said basically is the old cars that can be rebuilt and gutted out and used again and again and again are no good, and you think that we should buy these new cars. I'm talking about human beings, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Right.
That ain't worth shit that you throw away after you drive a few miles. Because that's what they doing to human beings. They turning them into not shit things.
Disposable.
Trying to turn them into some, I can't even believe you said that. It scares me.
It's a very
how
Soylent
people
Green
think
as
that
people.
you are supposed to conform to the evil men who have done nothing but destroyed everything that came in their path.
Wow. Oh, see, I'm going to completely disagree with you, because I think if you had women ruling the world, we'd see a lot more war, just a different type of war, because I think women are naturally competitive with each other. They're always fighting. They'll scratch each other's eyes out for a man who's got a bigger wallet. Boys will just go play basketball.
Do you agree, Hope?
Yeah, but what you guys don't realize, when we go and get our hair done or go get outfits and do things like that, we're not doing that for you guys. Because you guys will want that, you know what I'm saying? We're doing it in competition with each other.
That's right.
You know, when I go, it's like, oh, I'm going to be the baddest bitch at the club. You know, so I think what Randy is trying to say is that, what he's trying to say is that maybe we need to hone in on more of the, everybody has that.
But here's my whole thing, and then I'm gonna throw it back to Jeff and Bobby. You can't legislate respect.
He's not talking about respect. He's talking about emotions.
No,
he's saying that.
I understand.
You know what I'm saying?
I understand exactly.
Because as a man,
hold on. I understand exactly what he's saying. But what's happening is there is a judicial aspect of it that's focused in on boys, on men, right? On male behavior. And what happens is we create this imbalance because what is perceived as a violence-causing act on a feminine side isn't dealt with at all, right? So again, how dare you become violent towards women? And violence towards women needs to stop. But as you said before, you guys know exactly how to operate in society, in between the law that creates the environment that creates the violence you experience.
I think this goes
Go ahead,
beyond
Milton.
football players. This weekend, I solved my masculinity problem. I learned how to kill a motherfucker with a book from Denzel Washington on The Equalizer. And I want to be that. You follow what I'm saying? So we teach violence. We teach this to all cultural groups, to whites, to blacks, everybody. We teach violence. So how can we expect young men to practice something different than what we teach throughout our society?
It's the same thing we talk about.
We bullshitting when we focus on a football player.
Right.
I understand Rush Limbaugh said more violence exists in our public schools than it do from football
You said
players.
in the teachers, right?
From teachers perpetrating violence on kids. And this is Rush Limbaugh from the extreme right.
Right.
I'm saying, hey, y'all. So I think we're focusing on individual when it's a problem.
I think it's important that we take seriously what the man said a minute ago, who's on the air right now with us.
Randy Flood.
We're talking about reconstruction in a sense. That's kind of dangerous, you know, because we're flesh and blood, and we made out of feelings and emotion. And you start trying to reconfigure who I've been for thousands and thousands of years, and it's an experiment. We need to be very, very careful with that.
But just because it was thousand years ago doesn't make it doesn't mean it was right.
True.
It doesn't make it
true. The lion is still king of the jungle for a reason.
No, definitely. But things have to change.
But the bottom line is
things have to change.
And they can change for
But
the
the
worse.
bottom line is, if you're going to legislate masculinity, you've also got to legislate femininity. Violence is ubiquitous in humanity, and it's not gender specific.
I understand that, but we have always been second-class citizens to men.
No, you
always
haven't.
have.
No, you
we have
haven't.
been raped and abused and everything from the beginning of time.
That's in this society.
Thank you.
That's in
Period.
this society.
If you go into the third world countries, India and all those other places, women can't even say nothing.
If you believe that, don't take the next job that's offered to you by a white man.
Well, I haven't had a job since the 80s because I refuse to work for these people.
But that's my point. What happens is we get socialized to accept. Listen.
But what I'm saying is that you guys, some of this stuff I sat back because I sat back because I don't know what it takes to be a man. I don't know what it is. Okay, I don't know what it is. I couldn't raise my son to be a man. I could just raise him to be a good human being. But my point is that you don't know what it is to be a woman. You don't know what it is to be a black woman in this society.
But I know
you
a
don't
black
know what it
woman
is.
always
So you can't
tell
speak
us
on
what it means to be a black man.
I don't because I don't
Jeff
know.
Brown.
You know what I'm saying?
Co-host of the Joe What Morning Show. I have a couple of words. I'm not an astronaut. I'm not a farmer, but I can or a superhero. But I can give you a couple of sentences about cows, the moon, and Batman.
That's because that's something you've read about.
Let him finish.
No.
Go ahead.
I don't have to be a gynecologist to know my way around a cooter. My point. Okay.
Yeah, you're going to diagnose if my cooter is leaking something, you're going to have to know. No. You just as a man ain't going to have to know. I wouldn't go to you for a pap smear. Just know that.
That's not a positive image. All I'm saying is this concept of legislating violence and curtailing violence is almost like we're talking about a pimple that has just rose up on humanity's ass. We have been violent forever. We are violent human beings. What needs to happen is to have that violence respected, because what y'all trying to do is get your dog to meow, and he's not gonna.
I just wish that women would realize.
Hold on, Randy.
Women need to realize the condition they're in mentally, because this is a fact. Women say they don't need a man and they can take care of themselves, but almost every woman I know who gets her hand on money changes her appearance. That means something wrong with them bitches. I'm just telling you.
Hey, Randy, take us to break. What's your final thought here, Randy?
I'm just saying the dominant culture gets to frame the problems, and it's kind of, it's like we're talking about gender issues. Let's look at white men, and they get to define historically the problems. Yeah, they use violence to oppress black people.
Wow.
And so I'm saying that we need to evolve and start looking at gender relations, start looking at how we raise boys differently, and we can be more fit. We keep moving as a species, and we got to grow and evolve in order to become better people. And violence was a way of life, and it will always be part of our DNA, but there's ways in which we can teach boys and teach people with different ways of getting along and solving problems without clubbing each other in the head.
Wow, thanks, Randy. I appreciate it. We got to take a quick break. Well, we can't get it all in 2 hours, but I've come with some thoughts. It's final thought. It's the final thought here, ladies and gentlemen. Quiet. Really quickly, I'm going to share my final thought, 30 seconds of it, to an online guest here, Dwayne Mooney.
Hey, brother.
What's up, Dwayne? How are you, man? You got 30 seconds to sum this up for me.
Well, I'm going to sum this up, and I'm going to take it a different way. Like attracts like. And football players is crazy, and the women are crazy, so they're a perfect match. What men have got to do is start creating and becoming a sacred pimp.
A sacred
I'm talking about pimp, positive individual managing perfection, and that's women. They have to know how to manage women. And all them football players, when they're young and got money, if they're going to get married, they need to let them know, I have other women. Because the problem is always starts because the women find out about another woman, get in the brother's face, the brother go crazy. So they need to start acting like kings and stop tripping and stop going on this model where a brother can't have as many women as he wants, especially when he has a whole lot of money.
Wow. So listen, let's do this. I'm going to need you to come back to the show so we can really get into your PIMP philosophy.
That's right.
Yes, we got to do this. You got to come on in the beginning of the show and ride with us all the way through. Is that cool?
That is wonderful, brother.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you. And we'll be checking in on you real quick to get you back in here ASAP.
Okay, my brother.
All right, thank you. I agree. So here's my final thought. MAN, M-A-N, acronym. Manifest answers now, regardless of the situation. You understand? That's a man. Your life will present you with challenges and difficulties from day one. And your job is to manifest adequate answers when those challenges manifest themselves. Now, the difficulty with that is not understanding your environment, where you are. This is why when I talk to my son, I say, listen, you go to Santa Monica High because if you went to Inglewood High, you'd have a different kind of education. Not to say that the teachers aren't good, not to say any of that. It's the stigma, right? You could have a terrible education at Santa Monica High, but because you went to Santa Monica High, you get a different look. It's a game that's being played. And if you're not in control of your education, then you can't necessarily call yourself a man. A lot of people don't understand that. If you're not in control of your livelihood, can you call yourself a man? If you're not in control of you, the knowledge of who you are, can't call yourself a man. So, manifest answers now. How do you do that? In our society, we are taught not to challenge anything. Part of manhood is challenge. If you haven't challenged your beliefs, you're not a man. If you haven't challenged your family religion, you're not a man. If you haven't challenged the culture that you live in, you're not a man. Part of masculinity is challenging and overcoming. Too many of us get challenged confused with impeded, right? When you are challenged, you are offered an opportunity to overcome. When you are impeded, you find an excuse not to. That's not a man. A man finds a way to overcome. Manifest answers now. Man, right? If I take this even deeper, we already talked about dignified violence in Western society. Just because they want you to put on a suit and be a mercenary in a Fortune 500 company, that doesn't mean you're not violent. Understand the culture that you're a part of, right? Please understand the culture you're a part of. Let me tell you what really brings a woman into your orbit. When you have a clear attraction, listen to this, clear attraction and knowledge of your purpose. When a woman sees that you are intimately involved with your purpose, she is attracted to you. When you don't have a purpose, you attract a woman that doesn't have a purpose. And now you guys have a purposeless relationship, right? And then you create nothing out of that. You create conflict. You create strife. A man is more interested in fucking his purpose than he is in fucking his woman. And that's what turns her on, right? Because you're about something. Most men in our society, are, especially African-American men, we still trying to figure out who we're supposed to be in this society, right? The only thing we got is a sport, right? In most cases. The only thing we got is a microphone and a notepad to write some rhymes, right? And then the flip side of that is the only thing we got is our education. And when we only have an education that teaches you to assimilate into a system that justifies its violence but not yours, how can you call yourself a man? Manifest answers now. Until we're able to do that as a society, as a community, we're going to be done. I'm serious about purpose. I tell my son, listen, you're not going to school so you can brag on your degree. You're going to school so you can acquire tools and relationships to build a reality that serves your purpose. It's too many of us, man. I'm something because I work for the government. I'm something because I graduated from here. That's not manhood. Manhood is like the fucking bow and arrow of the Sagittarius who is letting it go out into the universe in adventure, in conquering. You got to fuck the world or you're not a man. If you fucking your job, you're a servant. Do you understand? If you're not self-sufficient in some way, if you're not in control of your ideas, if you're not in control, if you've never thought an original thought, you're not a man. And women love you when you find the solidarity of what it means to be you. I love you. Well, I can't love you until I find I. And most men don't have I. We just trying to love to find that other broken piece. If mama broke us, we're dating the broken piece of mama. You haven't even established I. Do you follow what I'm saying? Manifest answers now. The only way to do that is to not be afraid to go into the broken mirror that is your soul and try to put that shit back together and understand who broke the mirror. Hey, so what? I could go on, but that's my final thought. Manhood in the building. Bobby G, where did they find you?
Well, dick management must be replaced by life management. Real men don't play.
I love it. David?
Hey, man. Men'sFamilyLaw.com.
Say it again.
Mensfamilylaw.com.
Oh, we got Rick Flood. Ricky, where can they find you? Randy, where can they find you, Randy?
Mascupathy.org.
Say it again.
Mascupathy.org.
Mascupathy.org. Hope Flood.
HopeFlood.com.
Up in this mug.
And on Hollywood right now, 6121 Hollywood Boulevard. Okay.
Love it, love it. Grimes, get him out, Grimes. Man, I so appreciate you, brother. Google him. Google Grimes.
Just look me up on the internet.
Dr. G.
Yeah, look me up on the internet, but join me for the Citrix webinar this Thursday. Look up Citrix Goulston webinar. You'll find it and join 7,000 other people.
I love it, I love it, I love it. Hey, Jeff?
iTunes. Jeff Brown's ringtones and my album.
Please buy his album. Wrong ass shit. Jeff Brown ringtones. Please go there. iTunes. Corey?
Competition is a good thing, but the weak will always turn into drama.
Tomorrow.
Woo, boy.
Got the 5150 show back in full effect.
Yes, sir. We're going to have a new episode of that coming up. And again, only 20 copies left of The Rebirth of Seeds. I am Zoe Williams. That's where you get your copy right now. Only 20 copies left. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Hey, we'll be back next week with another heater.